distinguished former advisor to the Prime Minister, Mr. Ramdure, my dear friend and college classmate, Manohar Moses, Air Force Marshal Dr. Rudy Gultom, my distinguished friend and former Minister, Mr. Salman Khurshid, who is in the audience, my friend General Sani, distinguished audience, Ms. Nisha Ramdas, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here only because my friend Manohar Moses, who's been with me in the university, has invited me. In fact, there's a family marriage function in my hometown, in my village in Kerala, but since I have this commitment to Moses, I said, no, I have to be here. Moses was the envy of all the men in the university because all the bright, pretty women were in Moses' company, leaving nothing for any of us. So I have a great admiration for Moses from those days. Yesterday I was taking part in this debate on Agnipath. So I was having a long chat with General Sani in the morning. So the anchor was asking me the first thing, the country is on fire. Why do you need Agnipath? I said, that's precisely the reason why we need an Agnipath. Why is that there is so much little discipline in this country? People are setting fire to trains and buses and burning offices and real estate property without knowing what the reason was. I had a distinguished member of parliament taking part in the debate along with me, and I asked him, why, my dear friend, why are you doing this? He had no answer except to say that 600,000 people are waiting there after a physical test. That's the only reason he could get. I said, this country needs discipline, precisely. Young people in this country needs discipline. If this is the kind of discipline that this country has, we are not going to go anywhere. You bring about artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, nothing is going to happen in this country unless we have fundamental discipline and say, I want to be part of this country which is going to progress, which is going to take off. Why I'm saying this? I told Moses, look here, I'm in public life for 40 years. As an IAS officer, as a member of Kerala Assembly, as a Union Minister for Tourism, and also for IT, and also now as a member of parliament. I've never been late in 40 years even by a second, I can assure you, for any function. I walk in here at 9:50. It's half a dozen people, including distinguished Mr. Ramadure. Why are we blaming anybody else? Traffic. Don't we know the traffic in Delhi is bad? Rains yesterday. Didn't we know that there was rains yesterday? You go to 90% of the functions, this is what happens. Once in a while, I'm the one who opens the door to the convention center as well, as chief guest. You can have artificial intelligence, anything in the world, unless we change ourselves, this mentality that anything can just happen, we can waste others' time. Sorry, the country is not going to improve. Anyway, while I was waiting, I was reading on the net a very interesting story on Mr. Ramdure, 5 experiences which shaped my life. So it also did me some good waiting for the function to start. Otherwise, maybe I would have never read it. Very happy to be here. I was the only politician in the national education policy in the NEP. In the initial stages, I attended about 10-15 briefings along with my good friend Manjul Bhargav. Let me test the general knowledge of some of you people here. How many of you know who is Manjul Bhargav? 1, 2, 2.5. He's the first Indian to win the field prize in mathematics. Of course, now we have one more person, Akshay Venkatesh. Come on, he's the most brilliant guy. It's equivalent of the Nobel Prize in mathematics. You know, this man used to fly down from Princeton for every meeting of the NEP. Stay here as many days. And we spent many hours having coffee and beer, both of us together, because the first few meetings of the NEP was only regarding what should be the philosophy of the NEP. Before we go into the infrastructure and all other things, said, let's talk about what should be the dream. So this was the first 10, 15 meetings. And of course, when I became the minister, I could not attend the NEP meetings anymore. But that philosophy which we discussed, that is the focus of the NEP, and that's the whole philosophy of NEP. What is it? Allow a child to be a child, allow our young people to think for themselves and to grow. This is a simple philosophy. Today, whose dream does a child have? I was Secretary General Education Kerala. I was also Principal Secretary Higher Education Kerala. I was also Commissioner for Entrance Examination Kerala. I've spent enough life in the education sector. When I was Higher Education Secretary, the girl who topped the class 12 examinations, in Kerala we call the plus 2 board exams, her picture was all over the television, lead news, the brightest girl, the most brilliant genius in Kerala. So we gave her a huge reception in the BJT hall. The Chief Minister was there, Education Minister was there. I organized it. After the meeting was over, when she came down, I asked her a very simple question. What are you going to do with your life? Very simple question. I asked her also in Malayalam the same thing. Kutti jeevithathil endu cheyan pova? Simple. She thought for a long time and she says, I'll go home, I'll ask my mother, and then I'll tell you. This is what Indian school system produces, unfortunately. When I was Commissioner for Entrance Examination, I've seen, because my job was to select people who will go into engineering and medical colleges. My office was on the 5th floor in the Housing Board building. Parents come to see the list on the board. Those days it was not digital, not on the website. And I've seen parents shouting at their children, you're not on the list, go to the top of the building, jump. I've seen that. I've seen a parent the other day. This was a huge meeting to congratulate children who had scored huge marks. This girl had scored 499 out of 500. And the mother's question to the child was, how did he lose that 1 mark? And they given it for reevaluation. How does a child get 100% in English literature, in history, in political science? Tell me. Very simple. Because there is a formula. Questions are known exactly what is the wording of the question, and there is a formula of the answer exactly written down. Without a comma, without a full stop, you know exactly what the answer is. Anybody who reproduces that gets 100%. Otherwise, how does a child get 100% in history, English literature? How does? And what's the process? Very simple. The class begins with the dictation, and the kid writes it down, and then, of course, the child, of course, wakes up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning when he or she should be seeing beautiful dreams and made to sit on a scooter at the back when the kid is sleepy, dreamy, taken to the tuition center, and then you repeat what the class teacher has told, what she's written down, repeat. Evening, you are not back home till 10 o'clock at night because you are in the tuition center. And you vomit out, what is an examination? You vomit out into the answer sheet what has been taught, what you have repeated. Do we have a future? I'm sorry. No. And with all apologies to IITs, I asked a question, start question in the parliament. How many patents, how many discoveries that our great IITs have come out with, how many of these have been converted into actual commercial product benefiting the society? Start question. Answer. Commercial products worth 527 crores have come out from IITs. 520. Start question. I have the reply with me. How great institution of IITs, Mr. Ramadurai. Is it enough? We produce plenty of brains to go to the US or to be based in Bangalore to work for multinationals. Where is it? Tell me. I'm not trying to bring down the reputation of IITs. Everybody wants IITN. Take IIT Delhi, IIT Mumbai. How much of their products have been converted into commercial products? How did the entire Silicon Valley come up? Simple. So Ramadurai knows it much better. One university, Stanford University, produced the entire Silicon Valley. What has Delhi IIT produced? What has Mumbai IIT produced? Sorry, I'm asking these questions as a parliamentarian, as a citizen. Why is this? Because that girl who topped the class 12 examination gave the reply, I will go home, I'll ask my mother, and I will tell you what I'm going to do with my life. Things have got to change. When President Kennedy became president, he was asked, how come you become president at 43? Because a Catholic was never expected to become a president in a predominantly Protestant country. He said, my presidency was created at the dining table in my house. Kennedy family had 12 children. Simple rules, dinner is at 6:30. All the 12 children have to attend, and that dinner will be lengthy. If you want, you can eat. Not necessary. If you feel like eating, you eat. Otherwise, this was the venue for discussion on national and international issues, and every child had to participate. And Kennedy said, this is what made me the President of the United States of America. Let me be a little autobiographical. When I came from Kerala, I was a district collector of Kottayam. I was appointed as commissioner of DDA because I wrote the dissenting note on the famous palm oil scandal in which the chief minister and 8 secretaries to the government were accused. I wrote the dissenting note, so I'm not an accused. I was exiled to Delhi as commissioner of Delhi Development Authority. Thank God. That's where I became kind of famous. I put my children in Don Bosco, being a Catholic. Class 3, class 5. 3 months later, the principal says, Father Paul says, parents come over. When I went, the principal said, your kids are dumb. I heard that when I was doing my school examination. My principal called me when I was doing my class 10 examination, called my parents and said, this kid is not going to pass the examination. Let him repeat one more year. He can do it next year. But the miracle happened in my life, and I passed class 10 examination with 42% marks. 42%. So the principal of Don Bosco calls us, and when we appear before the principal, because, principals are like gods, He said, what's the problem? He said, your children don't speak the kind of English which Delhi children speak. I said, look here, I come from Kottayam, and there was only one CBSE school, and even the principal couldn't speak one sentence properly. Principal said, that's not my problem. He said, your children don't speak Hindi. I said, my children didn't learn Hindi because you learn Hindi only after class 5. This cruel principal, Father Paul, I'm a Catholic, so I can say that, because if I was not a Catholic and I accuse a Catholic priest of something, there will be riots on the street just now in another 5 minutes. Since I'm a Catholic, I guess that's not a problem. Because, we are such a sensitive people. We can't say anything about anybody else, isn't it? So he said, I'd take your children out. They were given TC and out. At the age of 8 and 10, my kids are thrown out of famous school. We didn't send our children anywhere to school for the next 2 weeks. Then we searched for a school in the neighborhood for bluebells. Put them there. 1 month later, we have a problem. My younger son, who is 8, class 3, he's taken by the class teacher to the principal and said, this kid is a problem. Principal asked, what's the problem? He said, he is scribbling everywhere. Notebooks, homeworks, test books, everywhere. He is drawing pictures. What would happen in a normal school? Mr. Salman Khurshid, of course, is a famous educationist. He was chairman of DPS. Normal school, what would happen is out with your diary and they would write, tomorrow the parents to appear before us, before the principal. Here, you know what the principal said? He said, son, he should call all the boys, son, your classroom is white, you paint them. When you finish your classroom, go to the next classroom and you paint the entire school. So my son came home and said, Appa, our principal seems to be a nut like you. I said, what happened? He said, you paint the entire school, so can I become a painter? I said, of course you can become a painter. So that evening, we went to Lajpat Nagar market, but canvas. Exactly 3 years later, my son had the first painting exhibition inaugurated by Anjali Ella Menon, and all the paintings were sold within 1 hour, and my son becomes a taxpayer at the age of 11, independent taxpayer. And everybody says, oh my God, he's a genius. At 12, he had a solo exhibition in the National Gallery. At 13, he had a global exhibition inaugurated by the President of India, Delhi, London, New York, Washington. And in London, one painting out of the 75 was sold for $10,000. Everybody said, he's a genius. At 16 and a half, he went to the best art school in the US to do painting. Everybody said, you're crazy. Your son is good in mathematics, he should be doing engineering, he should become an engineer. And that's the trend. And you are the Commissioner for Entrance Examination, Secretary of Higher Education. How are you sending your child to do painting? I said, my son loves painting. That's where his heart is. So we spent a fortune. He got a scholarship, went to MICA, the best art school, did his graduate studies from Boston University, did his management from Columbia University, and became director of Harlem School of Arts, a globally famous school at the age of 23. In India, what would happen? A kid at 23 becoming a director, again there will be fire on the street, isn't it? At 23, he quits. He says, I quit my job. I said, what are you going to do? He said, philanthropy. I said, how much money you have? 0. These kids are crazy. In 2014, he was in the list of 50 biggest philanthropists of the world, along with Bill Gates. A dumb kid who was thrown out of school had his own dreams. And the parents allowed the dreams to flourish. And more important, I'm thankful to Suman Kumar, the principal of Bluebells, allowed that kid to dream for himself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the focus of the NEP. All the structures that you talk about, I'm not part of that. I'm part of the dream part in the NEP. You can create any structure in this country or anywhere in the world. If you don't allow that structure to work, it will not work. Simple. I was Commissioner of Delhi Development Authority. When I came here, I found out everybody was grabbing DDA land and building, selling off. Nobody demolished before me. When I came here, everybody said, oh, this Madrasi has come. I was the first South Indian commissioner. What can he do? He doesn't know Hindi. He has no political connections. What can he do? I said, let me see. Over the next 5 years, we pulled down 14,310 illegal mansions in Delhi, starting with the biggest mafia leader in Delhi, apologies, H.K.L. Bhagat, who burned alive 5,000 people after Indira Gandhi's assassination. First building was 200,000 square feet. Is it difficult? Not at all. You put your bulldozer and the building comes down. Beautiful. It's such a beautiful sight to see, you know. I was obsessed whenever I see a building, where do you put the bulldozer? Is it difficult? Not at all. It's very simple. I carried a gun 24 hours. My wife was beaten up, left for dead. She survived. My kids were beaten up. My kids went to play cricket and to school under police protection. My wife went to market under police protection. We survived. To be alive is a miracle. But that's my job. I'm sure General Sani has risked his life every moment when he was in the service. Every soldier. I'm a member of the Parliament Consultative Committee on Defense. I was in Ladakh last month, Pangdong Se. See the tremendous, amazing work which our soldiers do, not knowing whether he's going to be alive the next day. Why is it that the rest of the country do not have that kind of a commitment to the country? Why? We need discipline, and I hope technology can help. Let me read. This is a book I wrote 6 months back, released, Accelerating India. I'm very happy that Mr. Ramdurai used that word in his speech, accelerating. It's about 24 sectors in which India has done an amazing job. It's all numbers. I'm a numbers man. I'm an economist. If you see my speeches, it's all full of numbers. There are 24 chapters in this, out of which I have written only 2 chapters. One is on information technology. I've written it along with my elder son, who is a technology guy. And the rest of the chapters, and one is on road infrastructure. And the rest of the chapters are all written by former secretaries to the Government of India. Let me read you the last paragraph of my chapter on digital technology. Of course, it's the way forward is about 3 pages. I don't want to read that. As it is, the digital world knows more about us than we know ourselves. The logarithms with built-in biases can predict what we are going to think and do because we have permitted ourselves to be programmed. In a few years, education and indoctrination might become irrelevant. Our surgeons may be able to fix a chip in the brain of a newly delivered baby in a few minutes. The chip would know everything and will be continuously engaging on the net for upgradation and instructions. Some would think that this is already happening. With social media dictating our thoughts, words, and deeds, the digital world is also a wake-up call for humanity. Strangely, after this book was released, a month back, Elon Musk also tweeted the same thing. I'm sure he didn't get it from my book. He's much more brilliant than I am. It's going to happen. Take a few years, 10 years, you're going to have a chip implanted in your brain. You won't need Byju's anymore. I'm very sorry. You just directly download. Education would become irrelevant. And we would become zombies. And who said we are not zombies now? Who said we are not? We are just dependent on this damn thing. How many young people read a newspaper? How many read a book? How many read beyond the WhatsApp messages which comes? Forget about searching on the net. And this huge digital instrument which has revolutionized the country. We have today, last year, financial year, we had 42 billion transactions on the UPI worth 85 lakh crores. We have 4 lakh service centers which is reach out digital technology right down to the villages delivering technology. So as far as our Prime Minister is concerned, government is concerned, the benefits of technology must reach the last man out there, just not for a few elite. And still, as Mr. Ramdurai indicated, there's a massive digital divide. During the pandemic, 40% of our children, school children, did not have access to education because they did not have a device. And that's getting worse. And is the device a good thing? Sorry, I have a different opinion, even though I was a junior minister for IT. It has immense benefit, but what is the benefit if you are going to be a zombie because of this instrument? Does it serve humanity? Sorry, no. An India Today survey showed that kids as young as 6 is using the device to watch pornography, and 60% upwards of time is used by school children for watching pornography. The other day, some of you must have read in the newspaper, 5 boys below the age of 8 trying to rape a 6-year-old girl. You must have read, it was on the national media. Why? And guess who was keeping guard at the door? A 6-year-old boy. They were all questioned. What are you doing? So we saw it on on the net. My dear friends, technology is a great instrument. A knife is beautiful, can be used for chopping vegetables, cutting off weeds. It can be used to kill. A gun, yes, fantastic instrument to defend the country, for the cops, to protect people. Look what's happening in the US. The instrument is as good as the way you put it to use. You allow digital technology to take over your brains, our lives. Sorry, we are zombies. We are going to be, and we are already. I'm sorry. I think we need to break free. Break free. Starting from 42% in my 10th board examination, I became an IAS topper because I said, sorry, I'm not dumb. I can do whatever I want. Once in the service, I decided I'm going to do things for this country. In 27 years in the IAS, I never received a single telephone call from anybody, including when I was Commissioner DDA demolishing 14,310 illegal buildings. Never received a single telephone call. No. We can do whatever we want. I was on the cover of Time magazine. I became a minister. I'm a member of parliament. So, is anybody dumb? Has God created a dumb kid? The answer is no. We make them dumb. Unfortunately, the digital technology is helping to make them dumber. May God save the country. May God save the world. Thank you so much.